Good morning everyone and welcome to the class. Presently we are doing the chapter Indian Politics, Trends and Developments. And under this chapter we have discussed the recent developments in the politics of our country. And in this regard we have discussed about the election of 1989, which proved to be a landmark in the politics of the country, because from this election of 1989 we see that an era of coalition politics was started, and with this so many new developments took place in the Indian politics. Like we see that the multi-party system actually started to work in a proper manner from this election of 1989 only, because there was starting of a coalition government. Then we have also seen that regional political parties have also become very important in the national politics. And what happened, that these regional political parties started to become a part of the central government under the coalition government. So these developments were taking place. Not only this, we have also seen that the new development was in such a manner that it gave a new identity to the other backward caste. And we see that these backward castes were started to be represented by various political parties. And we have also seen that after this period of 1989, we see that the communal politics has also started to take a new form. And under this so many happenings, so many incidents happen, like demolition of Babri Masjid, and afterwards so many incidents happen, and then the riots of Gujarat in the year 2002, about which now you don't have to study in the new syllabus. And now we are discussing the result of the election of 1996. In the election of 1996, what happened, that the Bharatiya Janata Party emerged as the single largest party, but it could not win the majority seat in the Lok Sabha, but it was the largest party. So it was given the opportunity, it was invited by the president to form the government, and under the prime ministership of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the BJP government was formed, but it could not prove its majority, because there were such political parties at that time which opposed the ideology and policies of the BJP, and no one was ready to support the BJP government. And Atal Bihari Vajpayee was not successful in achieving the majority of the vote in the Lok Sabha, and that is why he could not form the government. And after that we see that the United Front government was formed, and this United Front government was almost same as it was in the National Front government, which was formed after the election of 1989. In this United Front government, the main political party was Janata Dal, and other than Janata Dal there were other regional parties. And this United Front was also not able to achieve the majority seat in the Lok Sabha, so it needed support from other political parties also. And the only difference between the National Front government of 1989 and the United Front government of 1996 was the support it was getting from outside. In 1989, the National Front government was getting support from BJP, and now in 1996 the same government is there, only the name is changed. Janata Dal is there and other regional parties are there, and this United Front government was getting support from Congress. And in both the situation, in at the time of National Front government and at the time of United Front government, both these governments were supported by Left Front. So what we find, this is important, you must understand how the politics is only about power. Okay, so in 1989 National Front government was formed, and this government was supported by BJP plus Left Front. Okay, and in 1996 again it was not the name was different, but the main party was same. So this was a United Front, and this United Front was getting support from Congress and Left. In 1989, the political parties wanted that the Congress should be away from power. To keep Congress away from power, these parties came together to support the National Front government, because at that time Congress was the largest party. And now what we find that in 1996 the United Front government was getting support from Congress and Left Front. Now the Congress and Left Front are supporting the United Front government because they want to keep BJP out of power, because BJP was emerged in this election as the largest political party. So in this way the United Front government was formed, and in the first year from 1996 to 97 H.D. Deve Gowda was the Prime Minister, and then from 1997 to 98 there was change in the leadership because of instability, and I.K. Gujral becomes the Prime Minister. But in the year 1998 what we see that the Congress stops giving support to the United Front government, and because of this the United Front government comes in minority, and it could not be saved, and there was a need to midterm election was required at that time. So in 1998 the country has to go for a midterm election. The result of the election of 1998 was indecisive. In the election of 1998, no party was in the condition of attaining the majority seat in the Lok Sabha. So no party was there to be in a majority party condition, and in that situation what happened that the BJP under the Prime Ministership, under the leadership of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, it got support from AIADMK. There were the BJP got the support of AIADMK, and with this the government was formed by BJP in the year 1998, and it had the support of around 286 MPs. Okay, 286 members out of 545 were with this government, and the government was running in a peaceful manner, but the things things were not so peaceful, because in the year 1999 what happened, that AIADMK, this All India Anna Dravida Munnetra Kadagam, whose leader was Jayalalitha. So this AIADMK stopped its support to BJP government. AIADMK has stopped giving support to the BJP government. And what was the result? It has 18 MPs. AIADMK के 18 MPs थे, and इन्होंने जब सपोर्ट देना बंद कर दिया तो what happened? There was need to prove the majority by the government. So the government went for this floor test, and vote of confidence motion was moved. And in this vote of confidence motion, it was a historic incident, because the government was not able to win the support of the majority, and it lost this support only by one vote. सिंगल वोट के कारण जो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी की गवर्नमेंट थी वो 1999 में, इट वाज इन 1999, जो 1998 में बीजेपी की गवर्नमेंट एआईएडीएमके के साथ सपोर्ट से बनती है अंडर द प्राइम मिनिस्टरशिप of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. That government falls down in the year 1999, and there was only it lost only by one vote. It required 273 votes, but it got only 272 votes. So the vote of confidence motion was supported by this 272 people. They said yes, they have confidence in the government, and 273 members said that no, they don't have confidence in the BJP led government. So this was only the single vote के कारण ये vote of confidence नहीं जीत पाई BJP government. And what was the result? The result was election. Again, the country has to go for midterm election in the year 1999. So now again the election is there. Election of 1999. Before the election of 1999, the BJP formed an alliance, about which I told you in the previous class also. This alliance was called National Democratic Alliance, NDA. So this alliance was made by BJP. BJP was the main political party in this alliance. It was the only national party in the alliance. Other parties were only regional parties, and there were more than 20 parties at that time before this election of 1999. In this National Democratic Alliance, there were more than 20 parties in the alliance. And on the other hand, Congress was there, and Congress was contesting the election alone, and there was some problems were there inside the Congress, because at this time Sonia Gandhi became the head of the Indian National Congress, and what we see that there was differences of opinion within the Congress party, especially some leaders like Sharad Pawar and P.A. Sangma. They were of the opinion that Sonia Gandhi should not should not be given the headship of the Congress party, because she was a foreign national, because because of her Italian birth. So these leaders were opposing the leadership of Sonia Gandhi, and on this issue what happened that these P.A. Sangma and Sharad Pawar, they broke away from the Congress party and they made their own party, that is called NCP, Nationalist Congress Party, and it is still there. The Nationalist Congress Party is still there and Sharad Pawar is the head of this party. So what happened when this kind of issue, the issue of Italian birth of Sonia Gandhi, was raised in within the Congress party, then what happened that the opposition, the different parties, other parties, especially the BJP, that also started to campaign against this issue of Italian birth of Sonia Gandhi. And we see that what was presented by the BJP in the campaign, that the people have two options. The one is Videshi Gandhi versus Swadeshi Vajpayee. So whom do you want to make your प्राइम मिनिस्टर? विदेशी गांधी को आप अपना प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनाना चाहते हो या स्वदेशी वाजपेयी को अपना प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनाना चाहते हो? सो दिस काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन वाज prevailing at that time. And one more issue was there, one more advantage, we can say it was an advantageous position for the BJP, because the elections are going to be held in 1999, and before this election there was Kargil war with Pakistan, and in this Kargil war India proved its superiority against Pakistan. India defeated Pakistan in this Kargil war, and the credit went to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, because at that time Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of the country. So in the election of 1999 these two issues were very prominent. The issue of the Italian birth of Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, and the second was the such a nice performance by Indian Army in the Kargil war, and the credit for this went to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So these were the two favorable elements in the campaign for the BJP. And what we find that when the results came out, the results proved that these elements really worked in favor of BJP, because what we find that the NDA won 269 seats in this election. And the election of 1999, the result is 269 seats were won by BJP, not BJP, the NDA, the Alliance, National Democratic Alliance, in which the BJP was the main political party. It was the only national party. And this NDA, it won 269 seats, but still it was lacking 3 seats for the majority, because for majority there is requirement of 272 seats. So what happened that Telugu Desam party, TDP, this TDP supported the alliance of this National Democratic Alliance, and in this TDP there were 23 MPs. So now the NDA was able to form the government, and this election proved very bad for Congress, because the Congress lost 23 seats in this election, and it was the worst performance of the Congress. And we see that there was a call by Mrs. Sonia Gandhi that the party needed to assess itself. The performance was so bad that they thought that there is need to assess their performance. And this election was the first occasion when a non-Indian National Congress party had secured a stable government coalition. Though it was not a single party which won this much of seat, this seat was won by this alliance only, National Democratic Alliance. But still it was a great achievement, because the alliance was able to form the government. In this alliance, Congress was not there, and the condition of Congress was becoming very bad. Its share of seat was shrinking. So in this way, this government was formed under the Prime Ministership of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And here you must know that after 1989, it was the first government which was formed in the year 1999, which completed its 5 years term. So this government lasted for 5 years. इसने अपने 5 साल पूरे किए. There was no mid-term election. Vajpayee was able to give country a stable government, because at this time, the time we are discussing after 1989, from 1989 to 1999, this 10 years period was the period of a very high level of instability, because during this period we have seen that no single party was able to win the election. No single party was able to win the majority seats in the Lok Sabha. And because of this, what happened, that coalition governments were formed. Either coalition governments were formed or minority governments were formed, and there was lack of stability. So many prime ministers were changed, so many elections were held between these 10 years. So in 1999, after 10 years, it was for the first time that a government was able to complete its 5 years term, though this government was also a coalition government, because it was an alliance. Okay, so this was the outcome of the 1999 election. And here you must understand, because it is in your syllabus, we are talking about this NDA. This NDA is second time coming in the power. I am just writing it down. You have to study NDA 1, NDA 2, NDA 3 and NDA 4. Okay, so we have completed up to this NDA 1 and NDA 2. NDA 1 कब हुआ? From 1998 to 1999, when the NDA government was formed with the support of the NDA government was formed under the Prime Ministership of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And then this second is from 1999 to 2004, and the first is from 1998 to 1999. 1999. Okay, so after this election of 1999, this NDA gave a stable government, and after that there was election on in the year 2004, and this election of 2004 was also very important in context of the recent developments. In the election of 2004, what happened that the NDA was defeated, and we see that the Congress comes back to power, but this time the Congress does not comes back to power on its own, because now after the election, when Congress was not able to secure the majority of the seats in the Lok Sabha, then what happened that it went for an alliance. Just like NDA, the Congress also went for an alliance, and the alliance of the Congress is known as United Progressive Alliance. United Progressive Alliance. So we see that before coming to power again in the year 2004, Congress remained out of power for 8 continuous years, and this was a record at that time, because before this period there was no such time that the Congress remained out of power for so many years. So after 8 years, the Congress again comes to power with 335 seats in the Lok Sabha, but these seats were not won only by the Congress. This was the seat which was won by the UPA, plus it was also getting support from the outside. It got external support from Bahujan Samaj Party, Samajwadi Party, Kerala Congress and the Left Front. And after gaining the seat, 335 seats in the Lok Sabha, this was won by UPA plus external support. So in this what we find that now there was a question of Prime Ministership. Who will become the Prime Minister of this United Progressive Alliance? Sonia Gandhi was not ready to accept this post of Prime Ministership, and what was done that she asked the former Finance Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh to become the Prime Minister. He was a very respected economist, and as I told you, in the year 1991 when P.V. Narasimha Rao became the Prime Minister of India, under his Prime Ministership, Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Finance Minister of the country, and the changes in the economic policy of India were brought down by this by Manmohan Singh only. He was the main person behind bringing the economic changes. He was the only person who was responsible for all these economic changes, for adopting the new economic policy, in which there was a stress, there was focus on globalization, liberalization and privatization. So P.V. Narasimha Rao जो Prime Minister थे, तो at that time Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Finance Minister, and now Dr. Manmohan Singh was asked to become the Prime Minister, though he was not the member of any house of the parliament. He becomes the prime minister of the country. So we will discuss other issues in the next class.